Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Beth, and today we're going to go back in time and talk about a landline. One of the great things about reading Rainbow Rowell's Landline this past week was it was pretty nostalgic for me. I did grow up in the 90s, and so we had a landline. My dad used to have an old rotary phone on his desk at work, and so reading about her having this big clunker of a yellow rotary landline phone was just absolutely phenomenal. I worry because the new generation coming up probably won't understand what this book is talking about. They'll have to go look up what landlines and rotary phones are. But for me, it was very nostalgic and just a great deal of fun. So let's start out by talking about the particulars of this book. It is 308 pages long. It was published in 2014. The naked hardback looks like this, with that wonderful bright neon yellow that was so popular in the late 80s and the 90s. And this edition of the cover just made me really happy. So I very much enjoy the dust jacket it's got on it. And it's very, very thin. It has nice large print. And it was very simple to read. The book is set up in a series of days. So it has a title page like Tuesday, December 17th, 2013. And then you get, chapter 1, and there you get a couple of chapters, and then it goes on to whatever the next day is. So the premise of this story is that Georgie and Neil have been married for, I believe, 15 years. And they have been having some problems. They love each other very much, but they've been having some issues. And so they're supposed to be going for Christmas to Neil's family in Omaha. And she has work to do. She is a writer. She and her best friend from college are television show writers. And they have pitched a show to a big executive, and it's their show, one that they've been throwing the idea around for since college. And so they are busy trying to write scripts. They have a week to get 4 full scripts written and all of the stuff done. So basically, Georgie tells Neil that she cannot go and they'll have to stay home for Christmas. And Neil says, I'm taking the girls and I'm going to Omaha whether or not you go. And so Georgie stays in California, and Neil takes the girls and goes to Omaha. And that's when things start to get a little interesting. Her cell phone is a terrible cell phone. The battery's dead, and then her phone just kind of dies. She can't ever get it to work properly, and she can't ever get Neil to answer his cell phone. And she keeps calling the landline, and it's always busy. So she goes to call them one night, and her cell phone is dead. So she grabs her old bright yellow rotary dial landline that she bought at a garage sale in the mid 90s. She plugs it in, calls the cell phone, gets the voicemail again, calls the landline, and not only does she reach somebody this time, but the somebody she reaches is from about 1998. So she's got this weird magic phone going on, and the yellow phone kind of becomes one of the main characters of the story, even though the entire story is told from Georgie McCool's perspective. So Georgie McCool is a sitcom writer. She has been married to Neil Grafton for 15 years. He came to California to be an oceanographer and discovered that he hates the ocean, but stayed because he loves Georgie. And they have been married for 15 years. They have 2 amazingly beautiful children, Alice and Numi, whose real name is Naomi, but nobody really ever calls her that. I think she is called Naomi one time in the book, and that is by Margaret. That is Neil's mother. Margaret is technologically inept and still lives in Omaha, which has a big effect on the story. Then we also have Paul, Neil's father. We have Liz, that is Georgie's mother, who is a very California older woman. I don't know how else to put it. She is probably in her mid 50s and married to Kendrick, who is only 4 years older than Georgie herself. And they met because he was the pool boy. They have been married for 13 or 14 years now, and they own pugs. And one of them is Porky, and the other one is Portia or something like that. And it's a husband and wife pug family. And then they also have a daughter named Heather, who is actually Georgie's little sister. She was 3 or 4 when Georgie and Neil got married, so it feels like they're both kind of only children, but they say they have a sister. Um, and Heather is not Kendrick's biological daughter. She was 3 when Kendrick and Liz got together, but since he raised her, she does call him dad. And she's got kind of an exciting side story. You get to see her little bit of a coming of age story to go along with Georgie's coming of age story. Even though Georgie is almost 40 years old and has been married for 15 years, that's really what that felt like. We also have Seth, who is Georgie's best friend from college and her writing partner. They are incredibly close. And then we have Scotty, who is Seth and Georgie's writing assistant. They brought him on to work on the sitcom that they are currently working on. But if the sitcom that they are working over Christmas to create and pitch to the big network executive that they'll be meeting with in a week, then they'll be taking Scotty along with them. Scotty is a self-described gay Indian man, although he's not the pretty boy in the story, because that would be Seth, who is by all accounts a womanizer. Though Seth and Georgie have been best friends since college when they met working on The Spoon, which was their college newspaper, Georgie and Seth never actually hooked up or got together in any way. I have heard people talk about this book and say things like that is not a truthful experience. I don't know any male and female friendship that could be that close without them either being related or having hooked up at some point. Well, I want to take this second to tell you that I have a best friend who is my best friend from college. We have known each other for a decade now, and he and I are that close, and we never hooked up. A lot of people thought we were dating. We were so close. We spent as much time together as we could, and we still would if we didn't live 5.5 hours apart. Happily, he got married to a woman I can love as well, and who loves me, and she's crazier than the both of us put together, so that's a lot of fun. But even she says that we are flip sides of the same coin. We are each other's other half and best friend soulmates. So that is something that read very true to life for me. The relationship between Seth and Georgie was very reminiscent of the relationship between Douglas and I very much enjoyed the way that she wrote that relationship. Right, so moving on to the rest of the book. It's funny, it is heart-wrenching, and it is heartwarming. The bright yellow rotary dial phone is definitely the unique and fun magical portal to the past that you might hope it would be. And I love the way that Georgie reasons out this magical portal, because she begins by thinking she's having hallucinations brought on by stress, because everybody is just being very careful of her, telling her that she's fragile right now because they think Neil has left her and that they are separating and going to be divorced over Christmas. And she just thinks that she's insane. She can't use her cell phone, so she plugs in this old rotary phone, and all of a sudden she's talking to 1998 Neil. And it's just a beautiful thing. She's not insane though, but she is very concerned, and she's very concerned about her children. She loves talking to 1998 Neil. This is her Neil, the Neil that she fell in love with to begin with, the one that was not jaded and constantly unhappy, the one that was still trying to figure out what he wanted to do and it hadn't taken 15 years trying to figure it out and was just now upset with everything. And this is the Neil that is about to propose to her instead of the one that is in Omaha with their children upset with her and she thinks possibly has left her. And she really, really wants to make sure that she can speak to him, and she's trying to figure out all of these things in their life, and maybe it would be better if they didn't get together, and she can convince him to not get with her. And she starts thinking about the Back to the Future movies, and then she remembers Alice and Numi, and she knows that she's got to make sure that she and Neil work things out with past Neil and present Neil, because she cannot risk her children being disappeared, and she becomes more concerned because of that. And it's just a lot of fun the ways that this concern kind of shows up in other areas. Um, she realizes she's been taking Neil for granted and all of this other stuff, and she just really, really wants to try harder. And so she's saying all of this to 1998 Neil, and kind of realizes through some things that they talk about and then some memories that she is recalling throughout the week that maybe this has happened before. Maybe this time loop has happened before, and that's why Neil came back from Omaha to propose to her to begin with. And so she's trying to figure this all out, but this is the one thing that she doesn't talk to Seth about. So Seth is becoming more and more concerned for her. Her family is becoming more and more concerned for her. And she's just trying to figure out everything that is going on. And I've already given you a few small minor spoilers, but I'm not going to continue on, because if I continue on, I'm going to just basically read to you the entire book. So I am going to go ahead and sign off now. It is a very heartwarming story, and I very much enjoyed it. The only other book I've read by Rainbow Rowell is Fangirl, and I like Landline better, just by a margin, but I do like Landline better. It was a very easy read. I enjoyed it immensely. If you have read this book, please leave me your thoughts down below. If you are thinking about reading the book and are now going to pick it up, at least partially because of this review, please tell me that too. I would love for you to stroke my ego. If you liked this video even a little bit, please don't hesitate to give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new, and I will see you guys again soon. Bye.